A major tool in the Indian struggle against British imperialism was satyagraha or non-violence. It was introduced in the early 20th century by Mahatma Gandhi to designate a determined but non-violent resistance to evil forces. What ended this non-violent movement in India? Hello and welcome to UPSC History Review. Today, let's learn about the Gandhi-Irwin Pact. The Gandhi-Irwin Pact agreement signed on March 5, 1931 between Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi, leader of the Indian nationalist movement, and Lord Irwin, the British Viceroy of India, it marked the end of the period of civil disobedience in India against the British rule. Gandhi and his followers had initiated this movement with the Salt March in March to April 1930. Mahatma Gandhi's arrest and imprisonment at the end of the march for illegally making salt sparked one of his more effective civil disobedience movements. By the end of 1930, tens of thousands of Indians were in jail, including the future Indian Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru. The movement had generated worldwide publicity, and Irwin was looking for a way to end it. Gandhi was released from custody in January 1931, and the two men began negotiating the terms of the pact. In the end, Gandhi pledged to give up the Satyagraha campaign, and Irwin agreed to release those who had been imprisoned during it and to allow Indians to make salt for domestic use. Later that year, Gandhi attended the second session of the Round Table Conference in London. Let's take a look at the terms of the Gandhi-Irwin Pact. In this agreement, Lord Irwin accepted that, number 1, removal of all prosecutions relating to several types of offences except those involving violence. Number 2, Indians will be given the right to make salt along the coast. Number 3, Indians can picket in front of liquor and foreign clothing shops. Number 4, those who resigned during the movement will be restored to their posts. Number 5, the property seized during the movement will be returned. Mahatma Gandhi accepted the following terms from the Congress. Number 1, the civil disobedience movement will be suspended. Number 2, the Congress will join the second Round Table Conference. Number 3, the Congress will not boycott British goods. Number 4, Mahatma Gandhi will give up the demand to investigate the excess of police. Let's learn about how the Britishers view the Gandhi-Irwin Pact. Numerous British officials in India and Great Britain were offended by the idea of a pact with a party whose main purpose was the destruction of the British Raj. Winston Churchill openly stated his objection at the nauseating and humiliating spectacle of this one-time Enoch Temple lawyer, now seditious fakir, striding half-naked up the steps of the Viceroy's palace, there to negotiate and parley on equal terms with the representative of the King Emperor, he said. What does the Gandhi-Irwin Pact has to do with Bhagat Singh? Because it was a time when Bhagat Singh was about to be hanged, some wanted Mahatma Gandhi to highlight the commutation of Bhagat Singh's death penalty as a condition in this pact. There was a huge pressure on Gandhi to do so. In the first discussion which took place on 17 February 1931, Gandhi did not raise the issue of Bhagat Singh. However, in the second discussion which took place on 18 February 1931, Mahatma Gandhi did raise the point of Bhagat Singh. Mahatma Gandhi said, "This has no connection with our discussion and it may even be inappropriate on my part to mention it. But if you want to make the present atmosphere more favorable, you should suspend Bhagat Singh's execution." To which Irwin replied, "I am very grateful to you that you have put this thing before me in this manner. Commutation of sentence is a difficult thing, but suspension is certainly worth considering." As we know that protests were going on to save Bhagat Singh, there are many factors which made the then atmosphere problematic. Mahatma Gandhi stated that the execution of Bhagat Singh will even worsen the atmosphere. We also need to know that he didn't mention it as a condition in his pact, but he had the intention to save Bhagat Singh. Mahatma Gandhi asked to postpone the execution as commutation at that instant is not possible and postponement would be an innocent request which had higher chances to be accepted. The main point was that after World War I, British ruled the Indians with complete legislature. Bhagat Singh indeed committed a serious offence according to the British law, which the Viceroy Irwin had pressure from British civil servants to punish him from Punjab that they will mass resign if Bhagat Singh was spared. So postponement of the death sentence was a more probable thing to happen. Mahatma Gandhi indeed wanted to buy some time to save Bhagat Singh. Proof for this claim was that meanwhile Gandhi tried to make Bhagat Singh, Sukhdev and Rajguru to shun violence so that it can be used as a material to ask for the commutation of their death penalty. It was tried by Asaf Ali, a popular Indian lawyer, and it was named the Asaf Ali Mission. However, it failed and they refused to file mercy petitions. According to the verdict of your court, we had waged war and we are therefore war prisoners, and we claim to be treated as such. That is, we claim to be shot dead instead of being hanged, they said. Mahatma Gandhi again discussed with Irwin on 20th March about Bhagat Singh, and Irwin rejected it under many political grounds. The commutation of Bhagat Singh's death penalty was hard for the British government. On 23rd March 1931, Mahatma Gandhi wrote a letter to Viceroy Irwin to save Bhagat Singh, but unfortunately they were hanged on the same day at 7 p.m. Here's the letter. To the Viceroy, Government of India, from Mahatma Gandhi. Dear friend, it seems cruel to inflict this letter on you, but the interest of peace demands a final appeal. Though you were frank enough to tell me that there was little hope of your commuting the sentence of death on Bhagat Singh and two others, you said you would consider my submission of Saturday. Dr. Sapru met me yesterday and said that you were troubled over the matter and taxing your brain as to the proper course to adopt. If there is any room left for reconsideration, I invite your attention to the following. Popular opinion, rightly or wrongly, demands commutation. When there is no principle at stake, it is often a duty to respect it. In the present case, the chances are that, if commutation is granted, internal peace is most likely to be promoted. In the event of execution, peace is undoubtedly in danger. Seeing that, I am able to inform you that the Revolutionary Party has assured me that, in the event of these lives being spared, that party will stay its hands. Suspension of sentence pending cessation of revolutionary murders becomes, in my opinion, a peremptory duty. Political murders have been condoned before now. It is worthwhile saving these lives if thereby many other innocent lives are likely to be saved and maybe even revolutionary crime almost stamped out. Since you seem to value my influence such as it is in favor of peace, do not please unnecessarily make my position difficult, as it is almost too difficult for future work. Execution is an irretrievable act. If you think there is the slightest chance of error of judgment, I would urge you to suspend for further review an act that is beyond recall. If my presence is necessary, I can come. Though I may not speak, I may hear and write what I want to say. Charity never faileth. I am your sincere friend, M.K. Gandhi. So we can see Bhagat Singh was martyred and the flame of revolution grew even more. Gandhi could have saved Bhagat Singh. It would have been a victory of Gandhi's non-violence as well, and Gandhi's movement would have been strengthened. Gandhi indeed tried to save Bhagat Singh, Sukhdev and Rajguru, and there was no point of jealousy. Thank you for listening to this discussion on the Gandhi-Irwin Pact. For more such discussions, get the UPSC Practice app from the App Store.